March 18th, 2004, the day after St. Patty's Day. We're recording a program at Dominic's Restaurant on Route 9 north of Plattsburgh. Something I've wanted to do for a long time, and we finally corralled this very busy guy, and we're going to just chat a while. Sal Arena, how are you?
Not too bad.
Great to see you again. You and I have known each other for a long time. Before we start the show, I want to thank Mary Ann Castine, who bugged Calvin and I until we came here with our cameras to do this show. You've known Mary Ann for a long time.
Yes.
I also want to, before we start and before I forget it because I'm old, I want to acknowledge a letter I received in the mail a short time ago from a man whose name is Richard Daly. He may be unfamiliar to some of our local viewers, but his mother, Elizabeth Daly, lived on Cumberland Head. And I'll tell the story briefly. His dad's last tour of duty in the Air Force was right here in Plattsburgh, way back when. The family moved to this area, then went to Malone, and then Elizabeth had this house on the Cumberland Head. And she liked to listen to me on the radio for years, and then she and her sons watch this program whenever they're in town. Richard lives down near New York City, near Yonkers, and comes up here in the summertime. And he wrote us a wonderful letter, sent us a lot of interesting tidbits of information about things that are happening in New York City, and a check in his mother's name for Hometown Cable along with her obituary. I called him on the phone and thanked him very much for caring about what we do, because this program is a lot of fun, and Calvin and I have been doing it for a long time, and Calvin since way back in 1983. So thanks again to Richard Daly and anybody else who wants to make contributions to Hometown Cable. It's what keeps the boat floating. Thanks to Richard. I said, you have a very famous name. He said, I disassociate myself entirely from all those other Richard Dalys. And he's just a super guy, and he had just come back from the St. Patty's Parade in New York City. Sal, you came to the North Country in what year? 50 what?
58. Latter part of 58.
That's hard for me to believe, because I came sailing in here in 1961 thinking I was going to conquer the world, and I didn't even conquer Katyville after all these years. Where did you come from?
Providence, Rhode Island.
Providence?
Oh, yes.
I never knew that till this very minute.
Oh, no, yes.
We had a son that graduated from Brown University down there.
Yes, beautiful place.
That's where you were born and brought up?
Providence, yep. Providence, Rhode Island.
We don't mind telling our viewers that you're now 80?
80 years old.
That's hard for me to believe. I still think of you as a kid.
Yeah. Well, I feel like a kid, but the bones don't agree with me.
Well, you look terrific. I told you that when I walked in, and I wasn't just patronizing you. You've had some very close calls in your lifetime. One of your attacks happened when you weren't even here. Where were you, down in Florida?
No, it was in Katyville. I was a military turnpike.
Oh, my. Well, you've had so many things. You've been down so many roads.
Oh, yes.
We're going to go down some of those roads with you today. We're going to talk about your life before you came here, the Second World War, and a lot of very interesting experiences that you had. But a lot of your experiences have happened
right here in Plattsburgh.
Right here, and a lot of them right here where we're standing at this Dominic's Restaurant since way back in the 1960s.
Yeah.
I can't wait to get into it. Stay tuned. Don't even go to the bathroom till I tell you you can, as we're talking with Sal Arena on Hometown Cable. All right, so you were born at home or in a hospital in Providence?
At home.
As most people were 80 years ago.
Yeah, I guess so.
And you went to schools there in Providence?
Yeah. Providence, right, yes. Vesey Street School and
what was it?
Vesey Street School.
Really?
Yes, and Isaac Hopkins. And I only went to the 10th grade.
Did you really?
Yeah. I had to go to work after that.
School of Hard Knocks, right?
I guess so.
You've been in that school all of your life.
Yes, and I enjoyed every bit of it.
So you went to work. What'd you do? What was your first job?
At first I was a plumber's helper.
Ah.
And I was just a young kid. And then I got a job at American Rawhide, making rawhide mallets. And after rawhide mallets, I went and became an apprentice carpenter. And I served a year and a half, and then I joined the service and went in the service in 1941, I guess it was.
What would anybody do with a rawhide mallet? What would you use it for?
Well, that's what they used to use to pound stuff with.
I
That
got
wouldn't
one
mark
hanging
it.
in my garage. I never knew what to do with it.
Oh, yeah, we
It-
made
It's a roll of rawhide,
rawhide, yeah.
on a handle.
Yeah.
I always said to myself, what would you do with it?
Oh, I got 50 cents an hour then, and I thought I was rich. $20 a week.
Did you? 20
Oh,
bucks a
yes,
week? That
'cause
was
I-
big time.
Yes, because I earned $7 a week as a plumber's helper. And there's no time. You go to work, and whatever time it was, can you stop a minute? I got to dance.
Yeah, go ahead. We're underway again. Got to answer a telephone call. I mean, my
yeah.
goodness. All right, the staff of thousands here waiting in the background. So anyway, so you worked as a plumber's helper.
Right. For $7 a week, and there was no time. You get up in the morning, get to work at 8 o'clock, and if he told you to go home at 9 o'clock at night, that's all. We still got $1 a day.
Yeah, the labor laws were a little bit skinny back
I
in
guess
those
so.
days.
Yeah.
But that's where you got your feet wet.
Oh, yes. It was good.
So you did that for how long?
Oh, I don't know, maybe in the summertime and after school and stuff like that. Maybe a year or two.
And what?
Then I went, like I said, I was still a young kid. I peddled papers. And I went and got my ice for my mother, a 10-cent piece of ice at the ice house.
We were talking about that the other day, and I'm going to write a column about cutting ice because
Yeah.
my dad used to carry ice and coal for a company, and my wife's father worked for a coal and lumber company delivering ice. And I was talking with my brother about this on the telephone just last night. And carrying those blocks of ice upstairs and putting it in the ice box, and was my
Well,
job to empty the tray
oh,
underneath the
yeah,
ice box, and
we
of
did
course
that.
I never did.
Yeah,
It ran
we-
on the floor. My
yeah,
mother
yeah.
chased me around.
And then we had to go to the coke dump to pick coke. So we had woolen mills in Rhode Island, in Providence, and they used to dump all their ashes every morning with a horse and buggy. And we go to the dump and we pick up the little pieces of coke, fill bags of that, and bring it home so we'd have heat in the wintertime, and something my mother cooked with.
Isn't that
And
amazing?
I did that before I went to school every morning. We had to
a
get.
lot of our viewers don't know what coke is, but it's coal.
It's coal. It's been burnt, and
Yeah.
yet it wasn't completely burned. It's sort of soft.
We did what we had to do, didn't we?
I guess we did. Well, that's the only way we live. My father was a great man. He planted all the stuff, and all vegetables we ever ate and was all from my father's garden. So,
Well, you know, when you go back, people wonder. People have known you for a long time. Say, how does this guy survive? After all he's been through, how does he survive? Well, you learn to be tough. You learn how to survive when you're a little kid back those
oh
days.
yes, yep,
You had to do so many things to earn a
Yeah.
living.
Yep.
Picking coke.
yeah.
Oh my.
Picking coke, but then we had to go up to the ice house and get 10 cents of ice, so we'd have for the ice box. We call it the ice box. My mother used to say the ice box. You got to get the
Ice
coke-
box.
ice box, because there's no word for the refrigerator in the Italian language, so it was ice box because she couldn't talk
Isn't
English.
that beautiful? Oh, I'm going to remember that. That's a classic.
Yes.
Parents of the first generation then?
Yeah.
Your parents came over?
From Sicily in 1887.
Come on.
Yep.
Isn't
And
that-
they were just kids aboard the same boat, and my mother's mother lived here. She came before she did. I don't know why she left the kids there, but she came back, and my mother and father was on the boat with them, and they were kids, and they married when they were old enough.
I wonder if they came in at Ellis Island.
Oh,
Probably
Ellis
did.
Island, yes,
As
yes.
so many immigrants did.
Yeah, I got his name is up on the board there. My
Oh,
mother-
really?
Yeah.
Have you
'cause-
been there to check it out?
Well, I haven't been there to check it,
you've
but I
heard
sent
about
the
it.
money. I
Yeah.
sent the money for it.
Oh, you
so,
did?
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
So when they made the roster of it, in my mother and father's name. My mother's name was Giuseppini Celapini, and my father's name
You
was
gotta love it.
Domenico Arena.
Oh, yeah.
They say Arena, not Arena. Arena.
Arena.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
I
that's how they got that. That's how we got Dominic's name is Dominic. I left the O off. So that's why it's spelled D-O-M-E-N-I-C. I left the O off. It was Domenico. So that's how we got the
That's in
name.
case anybody wondered where that name come from. Now
Yeah.
they know.
Well, it's my father's name. The man worked hard all his life, and I thought this would be a good thing for him. Then there's a St. Dominic's in Canada.
Yeah.
So I figured Dominic's would be a good
Well,
name
who
for
was
the
the
business.
cook in the family? Was that your mother?
My mother's great cook.
Italian cook?
Oh, yeah.
Weren't they all those
Oh,
Italian
yes.
mamas?
Oh, yes. She cooked every day, and when my father got home. My father never owned an automobile. He walked to work, and sometimes 3 and 4 miles, and come back from work. My mother look out the window and see him coming up the street, and the dinner be on the table, and the kids in the house.
Isn't that
And that's the
something?
way she did. That's all she did. And every Saturday she'd go downtown, Providence, and she'd go to a movie and come back. And she could understand a little bit of English because
Not
she
too
talked to us Italian and we talked to her in English. And of course, I understand Italian fluently, but I can't talk it too well.
You just never learned to speak it.
Well-
that amazes me.
Well, we were sort of not ashamed that I'm Italian, but in them days I lived in an Irish and English neighborhood.
Oh,
And you can understand.
Okay, I understand.
They didn't have much to do with the Italian kids, you know.
Oh
So
my!
that's why I worked so much, because I had no friends. I had friends, but they leave me out if they had something. There was no automobiles in them days, not too many of them. And they get their father's car and they go somewhere and leave me sitting on the stairs in Moy Street. We called them the Moy Street Gang, although we didn't have a gang, just a bunch of kids. And that's how I became a worker all my life.
Isn't that something in an Irish neighborhood?
Oh, yeah, I don't know why he ever settled. All his rest of his brothers and sisters settled in Massachusetts, and my father settled in Providence, Rhode Island. I guess because his mother lived on Vesey Street.
That makes perfect sense.
Yeah, my mother's mother lived on Vesey Street, so that's where they settled.
So
Well-
you got a taste of that good Italian food
Oh yeah,
every day of your life. You're making my mouth water.
yeah.
here.
I used to go to school. When I went to school, my mother made my lunch, and she'd make veal or meatballs, and I swap it.
Oh, how about
I
that?
swapped it for American bread and a peanut butter sandwich.
Come on.
Yes, that was better than that was dessert to me. It wasn't veal, because I
Yes.
had veal and meatballs every day. Who wanted them?
Swap for peanut butter and
Oh
jelly.
yeah, as long as it was American bread, because my mother wouldn't buy it. She'd make her own bread every day and make pizzas after the American bread.
You may laugh at that. People watch this may laugh, and there's great humor there and great history.
Yeah.
But I've heard this story before of people whose mothers made the homemade bread, which, we would die for today.
Every other day, she'd make it and make pizzas with leftover dough for us, and just put the tomato sauce on it, and that was it. Or the regular garlic and stuff like that. That's what pizzas were.
And yet the kids would trade for American bread.
Bread, yes, bomb bread or what was it, tip-top bread.
Yeah, that was going back in those days.
Yeah,
Isn't
bomb
that
bread.
amazing?
So and that was just like dessert to us.
But did you learn to cook in your mother's kitchen?
Well, I had nothing to do, so I used to watch my mother cook. I didn't learn how to cook. I just watched my mother cook, and I just remember some of the stuff that she did, and I tried doing the same thing, and it don't come out as good as she does, but I wish I could make it.
Can
My
you hit-
father could make meatballs. There's not a man in the world could make meatballs
Really?
as good as my father could. And my mother didn't make meatballs half as good as my father did. And that's the only thing he ever made was a Sunday morning.
That meatballs on Sunday morning?
Oh, yeah, that's Sunday morning. That's Sunday. Sunday. During the week, we always had pastas and like pasta all pasta chichi beans or pasta lentica, lentils. And that's what we ate. And spinach and beans, which is my favorite is spinach and beans, kidney beans and spinach.
Must have been good for you.
Oh, God, it's excellent. I still have it every now and then.
Oh, my goodness. So that's what your childhood was like, huh?
Oh, yeah, it was very good.
Italian family in an Irish neighborhood.
Oh, yeah, that was
Kept
yeah.
you right on your toes.
Billy
every
Burns and
minute.
Kelly and Meyer, McGuire, McGee. Oh, Christ, of all
It's interesting that we
Lions.
should be recording this program
right after Pat.
right after St. Patty's Day.
Yeah.
We're going to pause for one moment in this terrific program to put a new battery in our machine because we need the power. This is going to be a good one. Don't go away.
That was-
Calvin was changing the battery, and of course, Sal and I kept on chatting here as we always do. And he said, when I was a kid, I was always building stuff. And before we get into that, I want to mention a wonderful book that I just received from Port Washington, New York, from a woman whose name was Jane Lawless, brought up in a place that she called affectionately West Crazy, and Rand Hill, Beekman Town, Schuyler Falls. And she talked about her life growing up in this area. Now, she's probably right around my age. But, when we were kids, and you were a kid a little bit before I was, we didn't have store-bought toys very much, so we had a scrounge, and we would take the wheels off of things, and sometimes there'd be a baby carriage sitting over here with no wheels on it, and we'd put it on. And you said you went to the dump and picked up wheels and
we'd go to the dump and pick the axles and the wheels up and go home and make wagons out of it. And box car, what do they call them? Box cars, like the kids raced a few years back, but we've always had them.
Box cars,
yes.
like and scooters with roller skates on the bottom of them.
Oh yeah, whatever we could find at the dump is what we used, because they couldn't afford it. My father was earning $7 a week and brought up 7 people on $7 a week.
Oh, so you had brothers and sisters?
Yeah. Oh yes.
Did you?
I've had 4 brothers and 1 sister.
Are they? How many still alive?
Just me and my sister.
Really?
Yep. My sister's 86, I guess.
Oh, she's 6 years older than you.
Oh, yeah.
You weren't the youngest, though, right?
No, next to the youngest. The baby died last year. He was 2 years. We were all 2 years apart. So my brother was 78. I'm 80. I'll be 81 this year. My other brother Joe was a trainer, horse trainer.
Oh, no kidding.
In Santa Anita, in California. And he was 2 years older than me. He was 83. And my sister's 84. And my brother Steve was 86.
Well, you see, you're going to be around for another 20 years or so. You might as well, right? You got things. You got things to do.
Things to do, yes.
So this is a great childhood, fun growing up, interesting, difficult at times.
Yeah.
But you learn how to be a survivor.
Oh yeah, yeah. But like them days, for 10 cents, my allowance was 25 cents a week. I was peddling papers and got 2 cents a paper, and for delivering 6 days a week. And at the end of the week, I get about $1.10 for delivering the papers. But I used to get a penny tip because the papers were 14 cents, and the lady would give us a penny. So if I had 50 customers, I made 50 cents. So I give 25 cents to my mother, and I keep 25 cents, and we'd head out for Providence, which was about 2 miles away from my house, because I lived in the town of Winscott.
Oh yes.
And then we go to the movies for 10 cents and see 2 feature pictures, a chapter picture, and cartoons, all for 10 cents. We go to the store and get a meatball sandwich for about a nickel.
Of course you had to get a meatball sandwich.
and soda, stuff like that, and some candy at the chain candy store, all for 25 cents.
Think about it.
Every Sunday we did that.
Think about it.
Yeah.
You can't even buy a candy bar for 25 cents anymore.
And we had to walk
for a buck anymore.
Walk all the way home. Because the streetcars were 8 cents. So that
didn't want to be wasting your money on the streetcar.
That was too much money.
Oh, isn't that great? So that's just a little bit of the Italian flavor of your childhood down there. So as a teen, when did you leave home? How old were you?
Well, when I went into the service, I was 17.
And that would have been what, about roughly
41.
1941.
Yep.
You joined the Army?
Yep. And they sent me to. Well, I wanted to join the cavalry. I actually joined the cavalry. That was before the war, see. So I joined the cavalry. So they sent me to Fort Devens in Massachusetts.
Of course.
Then they sent me to Fort Riley, Kansas, with the horses. See, but I seen a horse, but I never rode one.
You know which end was which.
Yeah,
right?
but I was in the stables, cleaning the stables because I was a private, recruit. Then they sent me to Fort Riley, Kansas. Fort Camp Hood, Texas, and the First Infantry Division. And they turned into the First Armored Division, and mechanized. They were mechanized then, and they put me on a motorcycle.
Come on, from a horse to a motorcycle?
Well, yeah, they thought I didn't know the difference, but I guess I did. I was an old Harley Davidson, what was the other one there, the Indian.
Don't you wish you had both of them right now?
Oh, God, I wish I had the Indian, because that was a real relic.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and then from there, I went into tanks.
Did you really?
Oh, yeah, I was an assistant gunner, because you're just a private and just have no education, so they put you as a gunner, assistant gunner. You load the 75 millimeters in the breech. And that's what I did. Then 37s, we had the old M3s, the Sherman tanks. And from there we went to Dick's and then into Europe, into Ireland and England. We stayed there for about a couple of months of waterproof, and then we went on a boat We went through the Strait of Gibraltar, made the invasion of Iran, or Azov it was, in
What was
43.
that like?
Oh, it's quite, well, we were young, so it's adventurous. You don't realize what's going on. You see submarines out there and airplanes, and there weren't many airplanes, but the Germans had the Stuka, and they'd blow the siren when they attacked, and the Ju-88s, they were the bombers. And it was more interesting. We were bored more than anything else, because you said aboard the ship, we'd stay on the ship for 30 days before we made the invasion, because we were waiting for other ships
that's right,
coming
too,
in.
yeah.
Some ships coming in from the United States. Then we went through the Strait of Gibraltar and made the invasion of Azov in 42, I think, or 43.
Then what?
Oh, we fought all through there, all the way up to the Kasserine Pass and Bizerte and up to Tunis. Then we went back to Casablanca and get ready for another invasion. Patton says to us, well, Patton was our commander at that time, but they put him in the 2nd Armored Division and sent him back to Casablanca, and we were still fighting, and we had General Harmon, and we were in the 5th Army. Then we went back and waterproof. We went to Casablanca, and Harmon was there with the 2nd Armored Division. We lost all our division in Kasserine Pass, the whole battalion. We lost. I was in the H Company, the 1st Armored Regiment. So he said, "You guys think you're going home? You're not going." We thought we were going home because we already fought the Battle of Africa. So we made the invasion of Sicily and then the invasion of Salerno, and went all the way up to Cassino. Then we left Cassino, made the Anzio invasion. Then went up the west coast, all the way up to Ostali.
Did it make you feel funny? Because you were of Italian heritage, like
No.
Sicily and.
I didn't consider myself an Italian. I said I was an American, and I fought with the American people, and that's all I cared about.
I just wondered, what, as a young guy, what was going through your mind during that time?
Whatever they
had
told
a job to do.
Whatever they told us to do, we did. And especially when you're a private, and you're young, you're a private, and you don't get too many good jobs.
So you're only like 18, 19 years old?
18, yes. Well, at that time I was about 19, because it took almost a year to Africa and all that. Then when we got to Italy, I was just a little bit than 18. So it was an interesting life. Technically, it was the best years of my life because I had no education, and I really got educated. I've been all through Africa and all through Italy, and then through the Brenner Pass into Germany and Wiesbaden, Germany, and all through Germany I've been. Not during the war, because the war was over when we went through the Brenner Pass. We only fought up to Ostali. That's the Swiss border. So it was very, very interesting. Of course, never took advantage of it, of what I seen, but we went back to Italy, my wife and I, my wife Jane, went to Italy, and we went through some of the places.
Did you really?
Oh,
was
yeah.
that interesting?
Oh, yes, because I wanted to see the cemeteries that a lot of my buddies were at. And we went to the Florence Cemetery, and we didn't get to the Anzo Cemetery because I wanted to go there. And I didn't get to the cemetery in Africa. But the cemeteries I'm very much pleased with. They're kept immaculate.
Are they really?
Oh, yes. It's cross on cross, but they're all white marble. And everyone has the same cross, with the exception of the Jewish people have the Jewish cross. And it was the most beautiful thing I've ever seen, but these guys are all dead. And they were the heroes in this world, as far as I'm concerned.
You know, before we started this program, you were showing me a little chart on the wall as to how many people we did lose in the Second World War and all the various wars, and they're tremendous numbers. I mean, young people today don't really know.
It was 504,000 in the Second World War. In the First World War, it was 498,000 or 598 either. But the rest of them was only 175 people, 200 people, 1,000 people. And it wasn't, there's a lot, we lost a lot of people.
You wonder what price freedom is, and that's, it costs lives.
Well,
as we're driving to work this morning, we hear about more lives that are being lost in Iraq. 2 or 3, 7 or 8, 10 or 12, 20 or 30. In the Second World War, we get reports of how many hundreds, how many thousands were being lost.
When you get in Europe or get in a war like that, you're young, you see how other people live, and you can't understand why they live the way they do. Because we were born in this country, and we see the way we live. Of course, it wasn't that classy at them days because we had no hardly any automobiles and stuff. But we appreciated, and we were worried about the people here. We didn't want to see what happened in them countries come over here. The wives and because the girls and the wives of the people there. And it was a shame to see the little kids begging on the street for something to eat. We give them a bar of candy, and God, that was like, I don't know what they thought it was, but it was nothing to us because we got all the candy we wanted from the Red Cross.
And gum.
The gum and cigarettes and stuff like that. We give them the thing, and they'd go out and earn money.
Yeah.
And for the family, young kids, 5, 6, 7, 8 years old, they'd beg all the time for food.
Just
Oh,
to
I never
survive.
seen that in this country. I never see you beg, the kids begging for stuff. So you learn an awful lot. Then that's why a lot of us guys never complained because we didn't want nobody, we didn't want the Germans or anybody coming here and bother our women. Because we respected women in them days, of course. Today the women want equality, which I can't see. I still respect a woman, and she's still a woman.
Oh, here we go.
I mean, that's the way we were brought up.
Did you, in those days, when you're over there, you were in some pretty tough invasions and battles. Did you, as a young guy, did you think this might be the day for me, or were you worried about life
We
and
thought
death?
that every day, because if your buddy's head, you see a tank going up in front of you and the guy's head blown off.
I can't even imagine what that's like.
Well,
not having had to live through that.
Well, this is what you had. You took it for granted. The worst thing I've ever had is when I was picking in Anzio, I had to go pick up grave registrations for a few days. And I had to go pick up dead bodies that were dead for maybe 2, 3, 4 months.
Come on.
And I had to pick them up and bring them back to the grave registrations outfit there. And that was, the first day was real bad. I got sick as heck. But after that, it just seemed, well, you had to do it and you go out and do it. Pick the Americans, the Germans, the English, whoever was there, we picked them up and put them in the Jeep and take them back home to the grave registration. Then we get them and sort the bodies out and put them in barracks bags. I mean, in mattress covers.
Wow. I mean, it's just we don't always like to bring up sad subjects,
we
but
don't,
this is what life was like.
Life, that was
like
life.
you said, you had a job to do.
That's whatever they told us to do, we did. I didn't like to do it, but I was going to say, no, I'm not going to do it.
Yeah, sure.
I went out and did it.
Yeah.
And so that's the way life was there.
So what else now? You went through those battles, so we're up to what, 1944 now? Then?
Oh, 45 or 46, we're up to Austerlitz. I seen Mussolini hanging in Milan.
Oh,
or
you
Turin,
did?
yes, where he was hanging in the railroad station.
Well,
But I just happened to go by. I mean, they didn't let us stop or anything.
Certainly have seen that famous photograph many
Yeah.
times
Yeah.
that was taken.
And then we went all the way up to Austerlitz.
You did.
And we stopped at Austerlitz, and then we stayed there, and the war was over when we had Austerlitz, because they invaded Normandy and went through that way there. Then we went through the Brenner Pass into Germany, and we occupied. The 1st Army Division still occupies in Germany, and they're the ones that's in Iraq. The old 1st Army, most decorated division in the United States Army.
History,
Yeah,
So then when did you come home?
46.
You weren't married before you left, right?
Oh, no. I was there 4 years, 10 months, and 6 days.
Not that you counted, though, right?
No, total. So,
So you got, that's a very interesting way to see the world, isn't it? Huh?
it was, yes. And then when I went back, then I realized like we went to Mount Casino where we had so much trouble.
Yeah.
And come to find out, there was nobody on Mount Casino other than the forward observer.
No kidding.
All the artillery was on the other side of Mount Casino, shooting over Mount Casino, and the forward observers, it was a monastery, and you're not supposed to bomb monasteries. We did, but you're not supposed to. And we found out that we thought the troops were there, but there was no troops there. And the troops were on the other side of the mountain. They was shooting over the top of the mountain. And boy, that's an awful high mountain, and Christ is a valley there, and we couldn't go up the mountain with tanks anyway. There's only one road that's wide enough for one vehicle to go up there. I found that out when I went there the last time. And the Polish come up the other side, and they got the Germans from the other side, the Polish regiment. and they lost their whole regiment. And just opposite Mount Casino, they got a cemetery of all white crosses of all the Polish guys that got killed in that deal on Mount Casino. Tears come to my eyes.
Well, you lose friends. You know, I've said this so many times before, and you don't have to worry about the emotion involved because it doesn't go away. I mean, we're talking the 1940s. We're talking a long period of time, and I have almost never failed when I'm interviewing people who were in a terrible situation like that. Almost never have I interviewed somebody where the emotion didn't come back. How can you help it? This is an awful time, and you've had lots of time to think about that. Probably had nightmares over the years, and
well, I try to forget, and I've learned in my life as to what happens today is today. Tomorrow, there's no tomorrow, so we forget about today, and tomorrow's another day.
Yeah, and who knows?
That's right. Whatever
who knows
happens,
what's going to happen this afternoon at 2
right.
o'clock as we're recording this on,
so we live for
on the
today.
morning. So you do live for today.
That's all. There's no tomorrow.
But I've said it so many times, we are a product of all the things we've seen and done in our lifetime.
Oh, yeah.
And there aren't very many people who've seen more than Salarina, I'll tell you that.
There's a lot of people who've seen more, but and had to go through.
You go through a lot of things. You lose a lot of friends.
Yeah, well, that's what bothers me more than anything else. They're the heroes, it's the guys that died. Why should I be living 40 years after this guy died? He was an 18-year-old kid next to me. He dies and I'm alive. So you appreciate being alive. The kid is not alive. Look what he's missed.
Yeah.
He's never seen what I've seen.
Now we're talking 60-some years ago.
That's what I say.
But did you ever stay in touch with any of the buddies that didn't make it through?
I used to go to the conventions, but they were all new kids, and they don't understand what.
But there got to be some of the old timers who were there with you back then.
Not too many of them. We lost practically our whole division in Africa.
I know that's true.
Yeah, because we had no equipment. We had the M3s, and the M3s had the 75 in the base of the. And we wanted to shoot in another direction. We'd have to back the tank up and bring the. We had a 37 in the turret that would go 360 degrees. Well, the Germans had an 88. They used to have muzzle velocity was more than ours, and Christ, we'd have to get a lot closer to knock out a German tank.
They had some real technology.
Oh yeah, and we fought against Rommel, of course, Werder Rommel.
Yeah.
The 28th Panzer Division. We fought against them. The English helped us an awful lot. Montgomery's 8th Army. They helped us. So, it's so much. I mean, I could talk for hours about the thing, but it's
history. Did you bring any pictures or maps or anything with you today?
Well, not. I didn't bring anything with me today.
Well, we got that picture of Italy that we can take a look at.
Yes.
What do you say we go over and take a look at that right now? We're talking with Salarina at Domenics Restaurant on Route 9, just north of Plattsburgh. An interview that we've thought about and talked about for a long time, and finally we're doing it here in March 2004. What have we got here?
Here in November 1942, we made the invasion at our zoo. That's outside of Oran. Oran is here, and we took the airport here. And that was in November 42. Then we went in and invaded at Yafta. And I can't pronounce the words half the time, and we fought there. The Kasserine, I can't even say it. Yeah. Well, then the biggest battle was at Kasserine Pass, and on February 20th, 1943, where the Germans counterattacked us and practically wiped us out there. Then we also had Fayed Pass. We call it Sidi Bouzid. That's the way we pronounce it. And then we had another bad battle here. Then we went all the way up to the Mousetrap, or Stuka Valley. This is where we had another big valley, and we went all the way up to Bizerti. And we got to Bizerti, and I forgot what day it was. May 8th, 43.
43, I can see that lightly in there.
Yep. So we fought all that in Africa. Then we went back to Casablanca, then we went to Italy. And here shows what the Armored Division did. I was in the 1st Armored Division, 1st Tank Battalion, and H Company. And this shows what we've done there.
42,000 prisoners of war captured in Africa.
Yep.
Untold numbers of Germans killed or wounded.
Right.
46,328 prisoners of war in Italy to the end of the war. Wow.
Yeah. This is what just our division did.
Yeah.
Then we went to Salerno, made the Salerno invasion, and went all the way up Naples to the casino. We fought at casino quite some time, then went to Anzio, and that was, let's see, 23rd of January 1944. Then we went up here, and the next big battle was up here at Pisa, at Lucca, back to Lucca. We went through Rome, of course, and all that. Then went up to Bologna and Medina and so forth, straight on up to the Ostia way up here.
That's very nice. How did you get this?
Well, this is division map. I belong to the First Down Division, whatever they call it, the organization. I go to their meetings, and they gave me this back in 1947, I think, or 46.
No kidding. And you had the good sense to get it framed like that.
Yeah.
It keeps it in very nice shape. It looks like it was just made today.
Yeah, this shows the legend. It shows the division, the advance of the division, and the counterattacks, and then the roads and the rivers, and so it tells you what we done, more or less, and then tell you all about each battle.
So when did you come home? I forgot. You told me.
I came out in 46, November 46.
And then where were you? Did you get out shortly after?
Yeah, I got discharged in 46, and I went back to Brownsville Down, and back to becoming a carpenter. Or they gave me I became a full-fledged carpenter because they gave me the years that I was in service. Yeah.
That counted.
Oh yes, you have to have 4 years apprenticeship.
Of course.
And then I got to be a full-fledged carpenter in 46. 46 when I get out in January. Well, actually it was January, February, somewhere around then. And I became a full-fledged carpenter then, and worked for the union. And I was earning $2 an hour, and that was lots of money because I was earning $21 during the service a month. So.
You know, Calvin Steggy, look at this. We were looking at the casualties before.
Yeah.
I mean, these are numbers that young people don't know about.
They don't realize how many people that sacrificed their lives for this country.
Yeah, and they're still doing it today.
Yes, they are.
For reasons, reasons we understand and some we don't understand. But when you were a young guy and you were in the service, you had blind faith in your country. You believed in freedom and what the man said to do.
That's all we knew. That when somebody told you to do something, you did it. We had respect for people, and that's the way we were when we were brought up that way. So there was nothing else we could do but say yes and do it. We griped a little bit. Who could we gripe to?
Oh yeah, you got to gripe.
But
you were in the Carpenters Union.
Yeah.
And were you involved in some big projects or mostly homes?
Oh, yes,
or what did you build?
Oh, did a lot of stuff when the torpedo station in Newport. Built a lot of stuff down in torpedo station in Newport, and built what was it, where they built the Liberty ships in Providence. They had a shipyard there in Providence. And
oh, yeah.
Yeah, we had a big ship there, Quonset Point, and we worked in all the military stuff. Then I left that and went in business for myself.
Did you a construction business?
Oh yes, first I had a cabinet shop. I used to do restaurants, and I used to build restaurants and nightclubs.
Oh no, that's where it started,
and they had what they call store fixtures. You used to put Vitrolite glass fronts on stores, and I did a lot of that stuff. Then I went into the concrete business. And because there was no forms made in them days, you had to make your own forms. So we used to make it out of boards and 2x4s, that's 1x8s, and tongue groove, and made the forms. And then we decided to make it out of plywood. And then we made the first set of plywood forms, and we call them, well, they were like engineered panels. And I did that from then on. It's about 50 years I did that.
Well, that's the way the forms were made when I first got into construction in the 1950s.
Yeah. And then we used plywood, 4x8 sheets of plywood, and made the forms and used snap ties. And then after that, I went into a engineered panel rock form system. That's what I come up here for, is a rock form system. There was a salesman in Massachusetts that told me a set of panels were in Plattsburgh. I said, where the hell is Plattsburgh?
I
didn't know where Plattsburgh. He says New York, because New York is New...
I got a T-shirt that says that, as a matter of fact. Where the hell is Plattsburgh?
When you said New York, well, they think you're in New York City, because we didn't know there was any other part other than New York City. So anyway, New York, so he picked me up one day and brought me up to Plattsburgh. And was about 8 hour drive, 7 to 8 hour drive out of Providence.
In those days,
because we had to go the old Route 9. And so we got here, and Louis Galasso owned Plattsburgh Quarries at that time.
Oh my goodness.
And they only had 2 or 3 little trucks, 4-yard trucks. And I met Louis Galasso, and he wanted to build a bowling alley. And he says that I'll give you $6,000 to build this bowling alley. The concrete work, the foundation for it, and the footings for it. I said, well, and then we had a set of panels that Rock Farm had that wanted $2,000 for. So we made a deal, and I went back to Providence, and then he called me up and says he's ready. So I come up to build Plattsburgh Lanes, the foundation of Plattsburgh Lanes.
No kidding. See, I'm learning. I had no idea about this until this very moment.
And then when they seen the farm company in the area, and there was no other farm companies here, they started to build Cape Hot houses, but Cape Hot houses were ruined by some outfit that didn't know what they were doing. Half of them were wrong that they built it. So Harold Alford, remember him? Harold Alford from Dannemora?
Very well.
He was quite a man, and he liked me, and I started doing work for him in 1959. Yeah, 59, 60, and I settled here in 60. I met Jane, and I married Jane, and come up here in 1961, 60 permanently. And I did this Domenics Restaurant Foundation, and Carl Giardino was the owner of it at that time, and of course never paid me. And
oh, here we go.
And that's another story.
That's another story.
Yeah. So I ended up buying it, and that's how I'm here.
You ended up with it.
Yep. That's how I'm here.
Almost by default, huh?
More. Well, I like the restaurant business anyway, because I used to have a good friend that owned the New York Systems hot dog joint in Providence.
Oh, no kidding.
Oh yeah, it's on Smith Street, and I used to, after work, doing construction all day.
It's still there, isn't it?
Oh yes. And I used to go there, and Arthur Pappas was this guy, and he chummed around with him. And we used to go out and the all-night joints in Boston, 40 miles to Boston. So I got to be very good friends. So I used to work with him until 1 o'clock, until he closed, then we traveled to Boston.
Those were the days when you could stay up and all night long and burn the candle on both ends and maybe in the middle, and then get up and go to work the next day.
Well, didn't even get up, just went to work.
Just went to work.
And
sometimes you got a shower, and sometimes you didn't.
Yeah, I was drunk all the time, you know, and go to work with a big head. So in 48, I said, this has got to be, you got to be silly. I said, I work all day to earn money to get drunk, to get sick.
There's got to be a better way.
So I quit, and I quit drinking in 48, and I haven't drank since.
That's amazing.
Yep.
Well, you've been involved in a lot of things since you came to Plattsburgh. I mean,
yeah.
You know, I've watched you operate here since the early 60s and known you for a long time and been in your place of business here for a long time.
I was a wrestling promoter here. Grand Prix Wrestling was my
outfit. Let's talk about that, because I'm sure a lot of people don't remember that.
I ran that.
Was very interesting.
Oh, yeah. For a couple of years, I had Grand Prix Wrestling. At the Crate Center, I had 10 shows at the Crate Center, at the Fairground, and at the Malone Fairgrounds. It was all over with the
What years was that?
I don't even, I can't remember those days.
You know, 50s, 60s, 70s all run together with me.
That was must have been in the 70s or 80s. That's when Grand Prix when wrestling was big in Canada.
Oh, yeah.
Carpentier and all, Gino Brito and all those fellas. I had them all in my card. And after that, I bought all the stuff at the Crate Center, the go-karts and mini-putt and the T-shirt shop and everything else. And I ran those for 5 years, I guess. And then I had a store at the Pyramid Mall,
I remember
Jason's
that.
Creations, and
Yep.
when they first opened up. And I did a lot of work at the Pyramid, built a few
There
of them.
wasn't much grass growing underneath your feet.
Well, I didn't have time.
You always had something going on.
Yes, I always had something.
Always something going on.
I'm adventurous. I mean, somebody wanted to start something, and I had the means to do it, I'd go ahead and do it, even though I knew nothing about it. I put a gift shop up, and I didn't know, I was no merchandiser. I didn't know what to do. I used to go to New York and all the shows and buy what I liked. Not what you liked or the people liked. What I liked, of course, was the wrong stuff to buy. You know? So that's why I stayed there for 3 years, and then I sold my outfit to Tom. I sold it back to the Pyramid Mall because I was only paying $7 a foot for rental there, and they ended up getting $27 a foot.
Oh, yeah.
So that wasn't I lost a lot of money there, you might as well say, because if I could have got to $27 a foot, and I had 17 years left in my lease, because I had 7 years with 5 years and 10-year lease.
You were what some people would call a visionary. You had ideas.
Oh, yes.
And you ran into so many roadblocks trying to get things done that you believed in.
Oh, yes.
Right?
Yes, I was going to buy when the Bellarmine Fathers were here at the golf course, they owned the college there, and they left the area. And they wanted $1 million for the property. That includes the golf course.
Think about it. Think about
And
that,
that
folks, now, as you're
Bill,
watching that now.
And
For that property right now
and
today.
I didn't have that much money, so I made a deal with them that I'd pay them $100,000. So I tried to get 10 guys to get $10,000 a piece to go into it, to give to the Bellarmine College, and then finance the $900,000. Well, they wouldn't do. I couldn't get 10 guys. I got maybe 3 or 4, Justin Forrest and a few more guys that were interested, but I couldn't get 10. So of course that fell through. Well, right, they could have got their money back in 2 years.
Well, think about it today. Here we're recording this on March 18th of 2004. Look at those properties today.
Oh.
Huh?
Oh,
Take
yes.
a look at those properties today.
You could have bought all Route 3, for goodness sake, for $50,000.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah. My friend Wolf, who's an Air Force guy, had a little backhoe. He did a lot of work with me when I was doing foundation work. And he had
Vic? Was that Vic?
Vic Wolf, yeah. He had that.
Not that I would remember.
Yeah, not that you remember. He had that little trailer park on the other side there, still there. And he had to sign it, and Central Markets come in. We're going to buy the property, and they bought it, and Vic Wolf took off for West Virginia, wherever he did, and had to sign there. Watch for the grand opening of the Central Market, which never opened up, which is the Pyramid Mall, or part of the Pyramid Mall. So that's how that happened. So, I mean, there was a lot of opportunities you had. Then I tried to buy that, was up at, I think, up there at Point of Rush. There was a amusement area there.
Fantasy Kingdom?
Fantasy Kingdom, yes.
I remember when
I
you
tried-
got involved in that.
And I wanted to buy that O'Brien's home or something. That home was at the Point. You know, a beautiful place. Kids ruined it all and had their own marina and stuff.
And did.
And I tried to buy that for $50,000. They wouldn't sell it to me. And of course, I forgot what the fellow's name was that owned it.
I can't remember
Well,
either.
anyway, they ended up giving it to the state. The state took over that property and made the St. Armand's Beach in that area there.
St. Armand's Beach, we've seen
there's
some
so
old
many,
photographs. I used to
oh,
do
I-
radio broadcasts from the
You
St.
remember
Armand's
the old
Beach.
slide that was in Wilmington?
Oh, yes.
That big six. I bought that, and
Come on.
I put that here. As a matter of fact, I sold it. That's in Watertown right now. The guy bought it for me about a month ago and brought it up in Watertown.
You're still willing and dealing.
Well.
You're 80 years old. Back off a little bit.
So, I've done a lot of stuff. I've enjoyed. I did part of the Mount von Hogenberg. I did a lot of work up there. And seeing concrete, you do it all over the place.
A lot of that did hired a lot of local people. A couple of my kids worked up there when they built the luge run. And
When Plattsburgh Quarries was here, they had four-yard trucks. Cooney come out of New York, New York area there, to do the missiles, to do the air base. And Griswold made the missile sites, and I did a lot of work on missile sites too.
And we've talked about that often on this program because it's such a big part of history here in the North Country. In 1961, when I moved here, General Dynamics Astronautics had imported thousands and thousands of people.
Yeah, the three biggest countries, biggest contractors in the world merged.
Yeah.
Yeah, Kaiser and Raymond International and Puget Sound, and that's how they got. Then they built the missile sites. They built it. They bid them the way I understood it, at $40 million a piece. They ended up almost $1 billion a piece, or $100 million a piece, or something like that. I don't know. It cost $1 billion.
Some phenomenal figure in any
And now
case.
they made water tanks out of them.
And still, we talk about them every once in a while. We mentioned the fact that one of them was turned into a home.
Home, yep.
Isn't that amazing? So this area has been through some very interesting times. You know, I came here even before you did, I guess, in the early 50s when the base was built to work on construction. And interestingly enough, I always worked on cement crews. I love to work with cement and concrete.
Oh, yeah.
Because you could
You
always
gotta be
make.
Italian to work with that type of
Well,
stuff.
I don't
That's
think
hard
I
work,
got any
you know.
Italian blood in my bones unless my grandparents didn't tell me something,
Yeah.
but you never know.
Yeah.
And that project,
Yeah.
the air base being built, and all these projects we've
How
mentioned.
about in 35 and 36 when they had the old CC camps right here?
Yeah, well, that's before I was born
Yeah,
and
the
before I was
CC
in this
camps,
area, but you're right.
In 30, when Roosevelt got elected in 32, at 33 or 34, when they started, they made CC camps because there was too many people unemployed. So they had the CC camps, and only young fella, 16, 17, 18 years old, would go to the CC camps and do work, fix forest ups and stuff like that, and build little bridges and stuff. And they were right here at Cumberland Head,
Yeah.
right there at the state campsite. That was CC camps. So there's a lot of history here.
There's somebody's grandfather who's watching this who was saying, yeah, I heard about
Oh,
it.
yes.
There's a lot of military history
Oh,
connected
God.
with this area, as we know. For some reason, all the old maneuvers keep coming back. The original Plattsburgh idea from the way back in the Second World War era.
The old 26th Infantry was
The 26th
originated there.
Infantry and all
Right.
the great boxing and baseball teams back
Oh,
in
yes.
those days, and boxing on the base, and then all the different connections with the military down through the years, and the maneuvers in the 1930s and
Oh,
40s
yes.
along the Saranac River, and those stories keep bubbling back up again because they're a big part of history.
Like Morris Broderick had the wrestling at on Boynton Avenue. I bought Morris Broderick's wrestling ring. I still have it.
Come on.
Yes, it's up at the quarry in my storage, one of my storage bins.
Just ready to drag it out once again.
Oh yeah, I wanted to put it up as a dance floor, you know, where people get in and dance, but my wife wouldn't let me do it.
Isn't that amazing? These are pieces of information. I knew we would get some good stories when we came to interview Salarina down here at Dominic's restaurant today. But you were involved in so many things. Some were successful, some were...
Well, most of it, I thought they were all successful, although I'm never worried about money anyway. I enjoyed doing things, and it was for the public. Fine. If I made money, fine. I made a little bit of money in my life.
Well, you know, we're standing here, as I said, in March of 2004, on the brink of a really big piece of development that could come in. You mentioned the Pyramid Corporation, and now we're reading in the newspapers that a new enterprise could be coming to the former Plattsburgh Air Force Base, which could employ ultimately as many as 10,000 people. This is huge. Don't you wish you were 40 years younger and get involved in something?
Well, yeah, I wish I was
We
40
all
years
wish
younger
we
for
were
anything.
40 years younger.
For a lot of
But
reasons.
but you know, it's good to see the area growing. When the base closed, we cried a lot,
Yep.
and now the development is astounding.
What we lost when the base closed was employment. We have no employment in the area. That we used to have all the dependents working for us, waitresses and waiters and cooks and so forth and so on. Today we don't have that.
It's a whole different.
Yeah.
The resources that came here
Yeah.
through the Air Force were incredible. We've talked about it before. The cultural influence
Right.
for the arts, the kids, the athletes.
And they wanted to work, and they were good people.
Yeah.
And they made careers at the service, and their wives would go to work so they could live a better life and you know, off the base and stuff. So it was good then. But
That all changed in 1995.
I guess so, when we lost it. But I didn't care too much about losing it because I've seen this in Quonset Point, Rhode Island, when they stopped the shipyard. Everybody
yes,
hollered
right.
because, the shipyard's gone and we ain't going to have no more. Today, that's the most expensive piece of land in Providence, Rhode Island. That's a beautiful place now. It's more industry there, and it's employed hundreds of more people than they did when they were there.
And that's what's happening here
That's
with the
what's
Air Base
happening here.
property.
That's
too, and
why
you can
I
see it
didn't-
happen every day.
Yes, that's why I didn't care. It's beautiful land, and you can buy it reasonable and develop it.
Yeah. Well, somebody's been doing some things right out there, and we're glad to see what's
Yeah.
happening. And ultimately, you and I and Calvin will all live long enough to see an international airport out there, and
I hope so.
it'll
Yeah.
it'll be interesting.
Yeah.
But who ever dreamed that when you first visited Plattsburgh way back then, that you'd be standing here
Being interviewed.
in 2004 and make this your home?
Yeah.
Because this is your home. You've been here
Yep.
for a long time now.
I lived half my life in Rhode Island, half my life here.
Yeah.
I lived 35 years in Rhode Island.
But
and
this is a good place to live and work.
oh,
We
yes,
say
I
that
enjoy
in
it.
every one of our programs. Good
I
people.
Married to Jane Arena and Jane, my wife Jane, and we have a lot of fun together.
Now, so you actually, your connection with Dominic's restaurant started when you built the footings for the place.
Yeah, more or less.
And then because of a business deal that didn't quite work out,
Yeah, and
you
college.
ended up holding it.
Well, he went broke, and I took over.
And you've been running it ever since?
Yeah.
Since
For-
1963?
No,
No.
61. 60. 43 years I've been here.
Wow.
Yep.
Now, when I first remember Dominic's years ago, this was the main dining room where
Yeah.
we're looking past the bar here.
That won a national award in 1967, I guess.
Yeah, tell me about that. I remember that.
Yeah, hospitality. There was a national award that I won throughout the whole country. And I went to New York and received the plaque and all that stuff.
A few famous people have been sitting at these tables
I guess
and
so,
booths
yes.
here through the
I
years.
have in the other room, I have the chandelier from the Old Wetherill Hotel.
Oh, we'll have to go and see that.
Yeah. the
Because
old-
you made so many changes
Oh,
down
yeah,
through the years. I came back in there and I couldn't find my way around.
Yeah.
I could find the bar, but aside from that,
Yeah.
well, you made some big changes.
Yeah, and had a lot of entertainment here. It had Willie Wall for a long time, and 7 years he played here.
These are names that are very familiar.
Yes, and Chet and the Four Notes and all the other guys played here.
We've talked about Chet LaValle, Chet and the Four
Yeah,
Notes, a
Chet.
very popular band when I first came around here, and they were just such good people. And we talked to Bruce LaValle in a store a couple of weeks ago, and I said, "How's your dad?" "He's great. He's 89 years
Oh,
old,
yeah.
still playing out there in Arizona."
Yeah, Bruce spent a lot of time here.
And a lot of our friends,
Oh,
a lot of
yes,
our
oh,
mutual
yes.
friends. We've
lot of
had some of
people
the
met-
best.
A lot of people met their wives here.
Absolutely.
And when they had the nightclub in the other room there, in the big room.
Well, there were days
Oh, yes.
when there was several places where there were nightclubs in the
Oh,
area
yeah.
and entertainment in the area.
The Grand View was up here, and
Grand View.
end of the
Every
nation.
time I look at that building, I think of all the times I bellied up
Oh,
to that
yes.
bar
Oh,
and
yes.
danced on that dance floor.
And the Grand View, the Cadillac Club.
The Cadillac Club,
In
which
my-
was the 13 Morgans,
Oh,
which
yes.
was,
Oh, yeah, they changed name 2 or 3 times, yep.
every once in a while, my wife and I will sit down and try to remember the names of all the
Yeah.
places where we
Yep.
used to go. Because
Yeah.
there was a lot of good nightlife.
Oh, yes, it was good then. We had the New York Restaurant Dealers Association banquet. Every October was the best gig in town. Everybody used to go to that. Most of it was at the Jackie's Club and Cadillac Club. But it was quite the
Jackie's
place.
Club, which was Kay's Restaurant, which was,
Oh,
we,
yeah.
we go back to all
Yeah,
those
and
days.
Bushy had the roller skating ring up there and the nightclub there. And
That's another thing that keeps coming up. Rollerland and Bushy booking all the big rock
Yeah.
and roll
Oh,
stars and
yes.
people from Montreal. Talk about a wheeler dealer.
Mm-hmm. Ray Bushy, yeah, he's
And,
quite
and
a friend of
building
mine.
Rollerland
Yeah.
and then it turning into a nightclub and a union hall, and I was there with my little
And then it
radio
burned down,
microphone,
and that was the end of that.
and that was the end of that
Yep.
detail.
Yep.
A
Oh,
lot of things have come and gone since.
oh
we came.
yes, there's been a lot of things here. Oh yeah, this used to be the old Flame. This restaurant, on the other end, this used to be the old Flame. Curly Plummer had it, and
Oh, man, you're bringing up names from the past.
oh, Curly, and then down there was the Blood and Guts down at the Creek Bridge. That was quite a place.
Well, I did a column a couple of years ago about the creek, about crickers. and
Oh,
about
yeah.
Scamotion Creek, as we call it,
Yeah.
the creek, and about the development of, families that have kids and grandchildren and great-grandchildren that were brought up there, and of course all gone now.
Oh yeah.
But quite a history down
Oh, it
there.
is quite a history. The old ice house down there, and there's a lot of stuff.
And the city dump.
Oh yeah. Well, I got to tell you the truth. When I first opened up, this was like a hot dog joint, like the rest of them were, and across the street was the city dump, and people complained about it. I never complained about it. I enjoyed it because they had no guys picking up garbage, you know, and junk. So your wife would send you up to put the garbage in the dump, and you'd come to my restaurant, have coffee, and
Sure.
good for business.
You didn't mind
And
at
I
all.
used to tell the people I smoke all my meat from the dump.
Oh, come on.
smoke from the. So you know, just for jokingly. Then we had the Brothers of the Brush here. Won the big. Remember the Brothers of the Brush?
You think I don't? 1964, July
Yes,
4th,
we won.
1964.
We won the best float. Dominic's Restaurant won the best float.
These, as you get older, you cherish some of the memories that you had, and
Right.
I had to make sure I spelled sesquicentennial right when
yeah.
I was telling somebody about it in an email yesterday. It was a guy who wrote me an email from New Orleans, Louisiana, based on a column I had written about something, and I said, I love your town, I love New Orleans, it's a great place, and I love the memory of my idol, who was Louis Satchmo Armstrong.
Oh yes.
In Storytown
He used to
and New
spend
Orleans.
time here.
And he spent time right here,
Yeah, because-
right up and down the road, marching up and
Yeah.
down the road at North Country Shopping Center,
Oh,
stopping
yeah.
traffic
He
at
used to
3 o'clock in
drink
the
here.
morning, and come in here, and he was in our parade.
Yep.
At what we believed, and he believed for a long time, was his 64th birthday on July 4th,
right.
1964, when we were celebrating the 150th anniversary of this area, and he was such a proud guy.
Yeah.
And we had concerts, and something that I've talked about many, many times.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you've had a few famous folks.
Oh yeah. Oh, I had a lot of them here.
But people remember Plattsburgh.
Oh,
People
yes.
who were stationed here
Yeah.
still like their connection with Plattsburgh, and that's why it pleases me that they go online and look for the newspaper column, and people come back to town to vacation and happen to see Calvin and I on television talking with guys
Oh,
like
yeah,
Sal
yeah.
Arena, and love that because it's part of who we are.
Oh yeah.
It's part of that thing called the quality of life that we've talked about. It's not a
yes.
bad place to
Oh,
live.
it is a
and
good
raise your
place to live.
kids
Yeah.
and-
Well, you got everything you want here. You like swimming, all the swimming you want, all the ice fishing you want, all the skiing you want, every sport is here. Golfing and everything is here.
Good food.
Sure. And you got 65 miles, 70 miles to Montreal, which you got everything you want there.
Even going to New York City now is a 5-hour trip where it used to
Sure.
be. Look what it
That's
used
right.
to take. It used to take
Oh,
you 8
God.
hours from Providence.
Yes, I used to come up here every Sunday afternoon, leave Providence at 12 o'clock, and get up here about 7, 8 o'clock at night. Drive up through Vermont and up Highway 7, then over to 9, and then in.
A lot of what we do on this program and other things that Calvin does for Hometown Cable have to do with history and the history
Right.
of this area. And I look out of the front of your building and we talk about the dump and we
Oh, yes.
talk about the orange julep
Yep.
when we talk about the face of Route 9, and this whole end of town has changed.
Well, the Orange
so
Julep
much.
was up here where the Gus's Red Hots
Yeah.
was. It was moved down there by Gordon, Phil Gordon, and
Oh,
somebody
how,
else.
How well I know. I've got photographs
Oh,
of it.
that. They brought it right down Route 9,
I
and Route
thought-
9 was only two lane highway at that time.
I talk to Phil about that every
Oh,
now
yeah,
and
he's
again.
good. Yeah, I like Bill.
And,
Bill's a nice man.
And Larios and
Oh, yes.
all the people that were involved. But yeah, there were a lot of. It was very different.
Oh, God,
40 or
yes.
50 years
100,000
ago.
Canadians was nothing to come down here in a weekend.
That's the biggest difference.
Right, 100,000 Canadians. You couldn't even walk down the street. What do you think I bought the place for? Because I've seen so much people here.
Oh yeah.
And they were all tourists. And everybody made money then, them days. There was the Orange Julep, D&W down here, and the Orange Julep, and God, all these little scrappy little motels here.
And the drive-in theaters.
The
we
drive-in
did a wonderful
theaters.
interview with John Zerlo, our
Yeah.
dear friend, about
Yeah.
what it was like in the drive-in business
Oh,
back
yes.
back in those days
Yeah.
when everybody was raking in the dough.
Yep, yep.
They were good times
Oh, God, yes. Times are good. I think it's a lot better than it is now.
in many ways.
Lots of ways, I believe. People appreciate things more in them days than they did today. They don't appreciate nothing today because you can go anywhere you want. And so you don't spend your time at home. Go to Lake George in 2 hours. It used to take us 3.5 hours to go to Lake George. I remember the Canadians coming down here. It took them almost 2 hours to get to Plattsburgh. They used to be lined up all the way to Shazy to get to the city beach on a Sunday.
Oh, how well I remember
Remember that?
when the Northway finally did open up, and you'd have cars parked in the median. The police were saying, "Oh my goodness, what are we going to do with all these cars that are parked illegally all the way up to the beach road?" And people setting up tents on the side of the road and having picnics
right on the lawn.
The side of the road.
Oh yeah, you sleep in your lawn. You couldn't say nothing to me up, but them days are gone. But that was Plattsburgh.
Yeah.
That's why I wanted to settle
here.
here.
Excitement, though.
Yeah, I settled here because I could see so much. Because dollars walking up and down the street.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Because they all had to eat.
You've always been able to see those dollars, haven't you?
I've seen a few.
So yeah, the restaurant has changed. The restaurant business has changed.
Everything has changed.
But you're still coming to work every day.
Oh, I enjoy that. I have to do that because I wouldn't know what to do with myself. I spend about 12, 14 hours a day here.
Think about it. At age 80, is that an inspiration for people who are 30 years younger?
Well, I take a day off every Monday.
Oh, you do, huh?
Because I wanted to go to the Lions Club meeting, so I've been in line for 40-some odd years, I guess.
That's wonderful. And have you been through the ranks and won so many awards that
I got
can
everything.
remember?
They got everything they everything they gave me. They finally made me. They finally get tired of me. Said lifetime member. So now I don't have to worry about me anymore.
You know how somebody can be in the restaurant business for all those years and still have a smile on his face, because the restaurant business epitomizes hard work. I've known so many people who've owned and operated restaurants, and like you said, it's if you want to make a buck, you got to be watching it all the time. You hire people, you have to watch, make sure people don't have their hands in the tills.
Well,
you have to make sure you keep things going, so you have to be there.
You set precedents. Like I said, I'll never drink with a person in my bar, but I'll sit. If I go down to the road a piece and I see you there, I'll drink with you there. But in my bar, I can't drink with everybody that comes in here. If I drink with you, and I know drink with Calvin, well, he get peed, and you know, you got to drink with everybody. So if you don't drink with nobody can complain about it.
Yeah, well.
So this
probably healthier for you in the long run anyway.
So I quit drinking anyway in 48, so I don't have to worry about that.
But it's hard work. I want to point that out for people. Your favorite restaurant, if it's a good place and if it's been successful for a long time, you know somebody has worked his behind off.
Yeah, you got guys like Drew Savella and the rest of the guys in town. They're hard workers, and they're successful, and that's the way it gets to be.
Yeah,
Justin DeForest and the Red Hots there, they'd worked for a long time.
And Arnie, look at Arnie.
Arnie, God, yes.
Look at Arnie,
Arnie's the
still
oldest
climbing
one.
the stairs after all these years, and he's such a dear friend.
Yeah, he's the oldest. He's in 54, I think, and I was in 58, so he's 4 years. I'm the second oldest restaurateur in Plattsburgh.
And then we remember Mickey.
Oh,
Michelucci.
Michelucci, yes. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's fun to remember.
Oh, yes. Well, that's what life's all about. You can remember the past.
It's all your memories. And some of them, as we found out today, are sad memories, and some of them are very, very happy memories.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And you could stand here and you couldn't name in a whole day all the wonderful friends you've made.
I've made so many of them, yeah.
People who mention your name.
Yeah, oh, yeah. Good and bad. Good and bad.
All that way.
Yeah.
Good things and bad things. We all have made mistakes.
I'm a very strict person. You respect me, I'll respect you.
Yeah.
And I'll
but
go a little
that's the way
farther.
life ought to be.
Yeah, it should be. You know, I mean,
respect.
That's the way. It's respect. That's what I was taught when I was a kid. You respect everybody. I respect the elderly. I respect women, and you treat me fine, I'll treat you fine.
Yeah, that's what it's all about.
I'll go a mile with anybody.
I want to take a look at the other part of the building.
Yeah.
Do you mind?
Yeah, like I got the invitation to the opening May 30th to go to the monument, the World War II monument.
Oh, let's take a look at that. That's something we can do right now.
Yeah, I'm a charter member of this.
Because it's very important. And I mentioned earlier in our program a letter that we received from Richard Daley and the World War II veterans.
The only ones that don't have a monument. I'm concerned about it.
Don't hurt yourself. My goodness, climbing up on chairs. What are you trying to do, man? Here it is. This is the proposal. That's a good photograph. Designed by Frederick Flory, an architect. Are you happy with the design?
Yep. Well, this side is going to be Asia, and that's Europe. That's the way that's going to be.
Yeah.
All the European divisions are going to be over here in all of Asia, Japan, with the fight, Japan and stuff.
What's the proposed date on that? Do you know?
May
when
30th.
Is it May 30th?
Yeah.
You're going to be there?
Yeah, I got the invitation. And
I see that Vermont is finally going to change, so they're going to celebrate Memorial Day with the rest of the United States. They figure they're finally going to catch up with it.
It's quite a thing. It's all Vermont marble.
Is it
It's all
really? A
gonna be
lot
made
of
in
that from
Vermont.
Barry?
Yeah, Barry, Vermont.
That's very interesting.
Yep.
Well, it's like I said, it's a long time coming. We've thought about it.
I'm a charter member of that.
Are you really?
Yeah.
So you're going to try to be there?
Oh yeah, I've already sent for send my tickets. I get my tickets, 2 tickets for the 30th in the afternoon.
It'll be very important.
Yeah.
It'll be meaningful, especially for
Yep.
people like you who were there.
Oh yeah.
It's like the Vietnam Wall, even the rolling wall. When I came here to Plattsburgh, I know we lost so many friends, and I worked very hard to do radio programs in those days to honor the guys and gals who were there. That it was a tremendously emotional thing for me.
It took a long time, but it's from 46 the war was over, and to now we're finally getting it in
68 years later, huh?
2004, we're finally going to get a monument for us.
Yeah.
And half the guys what bothers me a lot is half the guys are dead that did come back.
Yeah, or more.
More than half.
We're
I guess.
losing every single day,
every
thousands
day. Oh,
of
you're
these
losing.
guys.
Yep, and that's what bothers me, and we should have had this a long time ago. We never had one for the First World War, but we got one tried for the Second World War. But then they get one for maybe it's a little jealousy that they get one for the Korean, they get one for the Vietnam, but they don't get one for an important war. Is this?
Well,
we saved the world. They said.
Now they will. It's for those of you, our viewers who are watching this program who've never been to our national cemetery, Arlington National Cemetery. There's an experience.
Oh yes. Yes. I think an awful lot of them people. They've been the heroes in this world, in this country anyway, as far as I'm concerned.
Many times seen the eternal flame and walked around and talk about our nation's history. So much of our nation's history, right there in that area. Right?
Yeah, it's a long time. It's and there's a lot of kids there.
Yeah. A lot of kids. Well, let's take
kids. And that's what bothers me.
That's the hard part. Well, you talked about joining the service when you're 17 years of age. You talk about. I know, but
and fighting against my supposed country.
Yeah.
Italy was my.
Well, that's why I asked you.
Want to see my fish first?
I want to see your fish. I wanted to say when we started this program that this was a big fish story. But we're going to bring you right back. Now,
I'll pick it up and bring it up.
No, you don't have to pick it up anywhere.
It ain't heavy.
Calvin can come right there. He's not heavy. He's my brother. Holy mackerel. And I said that very carefully, chosen words.
It's 56 pounds.
What kind of fish was it?
Striped bass.
Now, it seems to me like this was hanging on your wall out there in that bar for a while.
A long time. Yep. My wife made me take.
Not that I could always see it clearly out there, but.
My wife made me take it down. She said it wasn't.
All right, I want to hear the fish story.
Oh well, got in Kodiak in '48 at the mouth of the canal. You
can put it down. He can take a picture of it, and you can tell me a little more of the story.
It's 56 pounds. It's 6
one
pounds
of
off the world's record.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It's pretty close to the world's record.
Yeah, and it's about 50 inches long and about a girth of 30 inches.
Who were you fishing with? Can you
My
remember?
brother-in-law, Al Chacha.
Really? Al Chacha?
Yeah, he's quite a fisherman. I'm not a fisherman. He's quite the fisherman. And I was with him, and I caught it, and he got mad because I got it. He should have got it, I guess, but I happened to be in the right place at the right time.
And you knew it was a big one, so you knew you had to get it mounted, right?
Oh yeah, it was bigger than I am. I only weighed about 130 pounds at that time, and I weighed about 130 pounds at that time. He weighs 56. So he gave me. If it wasn't in the canal, he'd take me out in the ocean with him.
He probably would have towed that boat for a half a mile.
There was no boat. We were standing on the wall.
You were
See,
standing
it's a canal.
on the wall?
Oh yeah, there's a canal there at the mouth of Kodiak.
Oh.
In Cape Cod, there's a canal. And that's the mouth of the canal, and the fish come in when the bluefish come in, and the big tuna, 600-pound tunas come in at the same time, but they go out on Block Island, and we go out in that fishing tournament there, and they eat a lot of bluefish. These big, big bass.
Isn't that amazing? I'm sure many of the
So-
fishermen have never seen a bass that big.
Yeah, but if it was out in the ocean, I'd never catch it because it was in the mouth of the canal.
So how did you bring it up?
Well, had to stay there a couple of hours, I guess, and
Did
just
you
trying to
really?
reel it in. Every time he'd go against me and hit the other wall, he'd come back
Oh,
toward me.
that's right. You had the advantage of
Oh,
being
yes.
hitting
that's
the wall. He
that's
couldn't
right.
get too far away.
That's right. If he went upstream and downstream, I'd run down the wall.
Isn't
And then
that-
reel in at the same time,
I
try to
wish
keep
we had
drag on
a,
it.
I wish we had a video. That would be like a Charlie Chaplin movie, wouldn't
Oh,
it?
yeah. Oh, it'd have been worse than that.
that.
I was so scared that I thought I had a shock on it or something. You know, I didn't know what I had on
I'm
it.
glad you didn't end up in the canal.
You can imagine when he flipped this tail, by God, he
Yeah.
was doing things.
Oh, yeah.
It wasn't in a canal. He took me out there. So
So
anyway,
you managed to get him up, and you must have had a. Did you put him
we
in a net
gaffed
or
him. Yeah.
gaffed him?
Oh,
Gaffed
gaff
him
him
on
with
the
a
way
big
up?
hook. We always use gaffing hooks. That's what you gaff tuna with too, with the gaffing hooks. Then put them on.
Did
a
you
rig.
ever take photographs of you holding the fish back
Oh
then?
yes, I got a lot of them, and I got a picture in the World Book down there in Rhode Island,
Oh, no
in
kidding.
Narragansett. Yeah,
Well, because it's one of the biggest.
yeah. It is the biggest fish they ever caught there. But somebody else caught a 62-pounder,
Holy mackerel.
so it's about 6-7.
Twice I said holy mackerel.
So anyway,
That's an old phrase that
my
people
old-
don't use. Or
My little fish.
That time you did it on purpose, though.
yeah, I did it on
Yeah,
purpose that
porpoise, yeah.
time. Yeah,
Yeah, it's quite a
it's
fish.
like Rizzuto and his holy cow, huh? Well, that's a good fish. We won't be cooking him for dinner
I
because
guess
he's
not.
been dead for
He'd be
too
a little,
long.
A little tough by
Oh
now.
my goodness!
God.
Before we move into the other room, now these days you're not open 15 hours, 20
No,
hours
but
a day.
I
like you
open and
usually
close at 9 at 9 during the week, and then Sundays I close it. I mean Friday and Saturday close at 10, 4 to 10,
Yeah.
5 or 6 hours a day. That's all.
do. That's enough.
That,
I
I
wanna-
enjoy.
I want to look at the other part of the restaurant. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Do it.
I do.
All right, we're in the dining room now, but this was a little bit different back then. I remember there was a horseshoe bar out here,
Yep.
and before we talk much about this room, Calvin asked the question when we first walked in here: are there any other buildings you poured the cement for, and concrete in this area? And you said just about everything in town.
Everything in town I've done it for. That was the only poured concrete company in the area until a lot of these other Corrado come in a little later, and so there's a few other ones.
Well, that's why you came here.
Right.
You were the only game in town for a while.
Oh yes.
So a lot of the major buildings and a lot of the.
Yeah. I could have built bigger buildings, but I never went for like Monet. I didn't do anything for Monet
Yeah.
and stuff like that, although I could have, but I didn't.
This guy whom we mentioned at the beginning of this program, if our listeners are faithful enough and our viewers are still watching after our interview started today, we talked about Richard Daley and his letter. And he asked me a very interesting question because you and I were talking about the Officers Club, and I was telling you how I worked for a cement crew and poured the slabs for the old club and some of these other buildings. And I remember, and so does he, that there used to be an eagle over the door in that Officers Club. I don't know where it originally came from, and it's gone now, and I wonder
It's been going a long time.
where did it go? Does anybody know?
I don't know where it went to.
Somebody got it in their bar or somewhere. That was a decent eagle. I don't know where that originally came from. Do you?
No.
I'll bet you somebody. All right, we got a quest for you. Somebody viewing this program knows where that eagle came from and where it flew to.
Mm-hmm.
Thank goodness we still have the eagle on top of the monument, though. 'cause
Yeah, I
you,
guess.
You know what happens
Yeah,
when that
yeah,
flies.
yeah.
All right, we're in the dining room. I came back in here after you moved your bar, and I was completely lost.
Yeah. The Lions Club built the bandstand at the monument. Me and my
When what beautiful shows we've had there in the
yeah.
last
We
few
built
years.
all that stuff down there.
That's wonderful down there, and with
Yeah.
the river walk and the
Yeah.
nice walkways, and
Yep.
just beautiful.
Yeah, we
That's-
put a Lions insignia right into
I
the
know.
concrete there.
That's nice.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
But what a difference here. Now,
Yeah.
this used to be a different place entirely.
Oh, this used to be the nightclub.
This was a nightclub.
That's the chandelier that come out of the Weather Hotel.
Oh, think about it. I hope that some of our viewers will
fountain room.
remember the
Right.
fountain room at the Witherell,
Hotel.
because every now and again I have people call me up and say, Gordy, Remember that night we were in the
Oh,
fife and drum,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
remember at the Cumberland, and remember the Wetherell, and remember the Union, and you know.
I've got a lot of the Weather Hotel and one of my store warehouses, all the sconces that were around the walls.
Oh,
and
do
the big
you
banquet,
really?
Yeah.
But
And,
this, I had forgotten. I knew this because you told me this
Yeah.
many, many years ago that's where
Yeah.
this chandelier came from.
I also
don't
bought
know.
the coping and the fountain too, but they broke the coping on. I have that. I got to
Really?
repair it one of these days. But that used to be a gas light, and I made an
Way
electric
back
light.
when.
Yeah.
Where did this come from originally? New York City they made it, maybe, you think?
I don't know where they made it, but it's all plaster Paris, and it's a really beautiful thing.
To get it in here
Yeah.
without breaking it and set it up and
Yeah.
electrify it.
Yeah.
But it's been here a while.
Oh yeah, it's been here. Well, I've owned it ever since they cut the weather roll down.
Yeah.
That's a lot of years.
But this was a nightclub.
Yep.
This was the dance floor.
Yep.
And,
They call it the fascination room.
and we've all been fascinated by some of the things that happened here in the fascination
It
room.
was built when the Brothers of the Brush was built in '64 for the Brothers of the Brush.
Now, we started talking about the Brothers of the Brush, and some people who aren't old enough to remember, and some people I imagine who couldn't care less. But we had a lot of friendly competitions in
Oh,
those
yeah,
days,
yeah.
and we had teams of people who grew beards.
Oh yeah, we all grew beards.
And we called it Brothers of the Brush. And I was dragged out an old photograph the other day with my big beard, and my wife named somebody she thought it was. I said, "No, that's me. Don't you remember when?" And I
still-
shaved it off, and she wouldn't let me
I got
ever
the Rossi yet of it.
do
I
your
was
banana.
looking at it the other day. The Brothers of the Brush.
That was a good time. That was a
Oh,
good
God,
celebration.
yes.
We had a tremendous show at the Bailey Avenue with a
Oh God, that was the biggest parade Plattsburgh's ever seen.
wonderful parade.
Everything was wonderful
I got
about
that all on 8mm film sometime. Maybe during that time, I'll drag out some of those old films and we'll try to put them on one of our programs
Yeah.
here because we have a lot of nostalgia.
Yeah, yeah, oh yes, an awful lot there. That was the greatest time that Plattsburgh's. Since I've been in Plattsburgh, I've been in Plattsburgh since '60, so '59. That's the biggest time I've ever seen.
Well, we've seen photographs.
Very, very successful.
We've seen photographs of a lot of the celebrations that have had in Plattsburgh over the years. They have commemorated the Battle of Plattsburgh
Battle
at
of Plattsburgh, yeah.
different times.
Yeah.
And back in 1914, for example, they had the centennial of the Battle of Plattsburgh here in town. That would have been 100 years after that September 11th, 1814. And that was a big celebration. So down through the years, and I've been reading the journals of some of the people who were actually living here in Plattsburgh when the Battle of Plattsburgh was fought. And even as 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 years after the Battle of Plattsburgh, they knew it was a big deal back in those days. And they were having celebrations and reunions, and some of the troops were getting back together. So we can hang our hat on an awful lot of very significant military events and parades, as you said, and other events through the years. And hopefully we'll live long enough to see a lot more of those
right.
for this area. But
That was brought back from Toledo, Spain.
yeah, we need to
Sugar.
know about that because
Sugar.
that is that when you walk in the door, it catches
It's
your
a
eye.
great-
Calvin
great-
says, "Watch out for this knight in armor over here." We didn't know if he was going to jump out. So how did that come about?
Well, I bought it in Toledo, Spain, and brought it back here.
Yeah, I'm sure you carried it right on with you too.
No, they put it in the bombardier doors or something. A friend of mine put it in
Oh,
the door.
really?
Yeah, and because it was in a big
That's
box.
probably a story all by
yeah,
itself.
Yeah, that is. And
What?
they
What?
brought-
You saw it over there in a shop, or what happened?
Yeah, they sell them all over there. And this is one of the original. This one's made of steel. This one here, it's made of steel. I put it on. For Knight's Cadillac, I made an advertisement with
Well, you did,
for
huh?
cast iron. I put it on every now and then.
Oh my gosh! I'd get. Oh, look at this. Doesn't he look like Don Quixote right here? Look at this. Oh my God! I'd be so afraid I'd get it on. They'd have to cut me out with a can opener. Isn't that neat?
Yeah,
So did you actually go over there to see it, or did you read
I was
about
in
it?
Toledo, Spain.
You
I
were?
was all over Spain, France, all over.
That's a real thing. That's
Yeah,
not made
it's a
out of
real one.
plastic.
It's-
That's
no,
made out
that's
of.
steel. These are
wonder.
real ones.
You wonder how these guys could ever fight with this.
I put it on and see it's only to the legs. There's
Yeah.
nothing up here, and these flaps protect you.
Well, it
Yeah.
certainly has been. When did you put that here?
Oh,
you remember
this?
that?
I
Yeah.
brought this back in 48, 49.
Oh, you did way back
oh, yeah.
when.
Oh, yes. This is quite
Oh.
old. Yep.
Well, it looks like it's been there for a long
These
time.
are all my awards.
Some people who.
Okay, hold on a sec.
Yeah, right.
Now you got some nice stuff on the wall here.
Yeah.
Tell me about it.
Well, this is National Award
Which one?
in
The plate?
the plate.
The
This
plate?
I won. I can't remember the date of it. It must be on there anyway. Way back.
Yeah, way back.
And
1968.
1968. Wow.
yeah, and that's the Melvin Jones Award. His Lines of the Year Award. I'm a Knight of the Blind. There's 20 years I've had more than that. It's no one. This is the Marina's coat of arms.
This is really nice.
Yeah.
How did you get that done? You
Oh,
found somebody who did
Yeah,
that?
I had somebody do that for me.
That's really quite
Yeah.
beautiful.
And this
isn't it?
is the Life Membership Award. This is another one of the coat of arms. I bought 2 or 3 of them to make sure that they weren't after me, see? This one here, you
Ah.
notice it's the same as this in 2 different
Yeah.
companies.
So you
This
know-
gives the history of the areners, how their name came about and all that.
Saint Italian.
So it was pronounced different.
Arena.
Arena.
Arena is the name of the say. But this is one, and this was the first one I got. And then I see it's noticed a lion on the mountain is what it is.
Well, there you are, the lion,
Lion on the
the
mountain.
lion
Well,
on
I'm
the
a lion, the
mountain.
Plattsburgh line I've belonged to for about 40 years, I guess.
Look at this.
You've been to Lion Mountain?
Yeah,
I've
yeah,
been
and you've
to
been to
Lion
Lion Mountain too, yeah.
Oh,
Well, look at this.
yeah.
What's this? A little story they did
Yeah,
about you.
in Canada, they give me a 5-star on it. Years ago.
Hey,
Here's my suit of armor and me. I was young then.
oh, a couple of years
Yeah.
younger.
Yeah.
That's very nice.
Yeah,
Doesn't I don't see a date, but it's in the
Oh, that's old.
Toronto by Night
Yeah.
Journal. That was very nice.
This is nice. It
Well,
tells
you have
Italian.
all kinds of nice
Oh,
stuff
yeah.
here.
This is nice. It tells you respect others. It's real nice. You can't make good wine from bad grapes and so forth. It's all Italian phrases.
Arithmetic is not an opinion. I'm not
Yeah.
sure if my mother ever
Yeah.
told me that. Those are
Dog
nice.
health is true wealth. Good
Oh,
health is
yeah.
old friends and old wine.
Are the best.
This is my
Oh.
Stanislaus. There's a guy I buy my tomatoes from.
Really?
Out of Medici, California.
Oh, that's great. And construction companies, huh? Plattsburgh
yeah.
College
That's my
Foundation,
yeah,
President's
yeah.
Club,
Oh, yes, and President Club for the Domenics.
Boy Scouts.
I've had everything.
We should have called this program when we started. Been there, done that.
Done that. Yeah.
Been there,
Yeah.
done that.
I've been AAA for July. That's my AAA. There,
Oh, on the
204,
other side, yeah.
right there. I've been that for 20 years, 30 years.
You don't get these awards by not working very, very hard and letting, working for the people, because
Yeah.
it's word of mouth
It's
is
a people's place.
it's a people's place.
Oh, I
and-
made them shades, lampshades.
Did you really?
Yep.
They're so unique, completely
Yeah.
different. I've
Yeah.
never seen anything like that
Oh,
in my
yeah.
life before.
They're electrified.
Where the heck did you come up with that idea?
Oh, I don't know. I seen them somewhere. I seen a lampshade in a place, and I thought I'd make them myself, so I made a couple of them.
You're amazing.
Yep.
You're
I made a aluminum frame for it, and then just covered over with material.
How
and
long? Yeah, go ahead.
I finally found a material it's the same flower. See it? The same
It
flower
is.
that's on my thing. The materials is identically
Yeah,
the
the
same.
carpet. It's
Yep.
beautiful. So how long are you going to continue to do this, my friend?
Till I can't do it anymore.
You know, it's a good philosophy. You said it before when we were sitting in at the bar. We don't know if we got
That's right.
tomorrow.
We
We
live
don't
for-
know we got next Tuesday,
That's right.
next year, next
We live
century.
from day to day.
We're here because we're here because we're here.
And there's no tomorrow.
And
Today is today, and tomorrow will be today.
somebody said, we're here because we're not all there. But this has been fun. This has
Oh,
been
yeah.
so much fun. I want to thank you for allowing us to come down here and chat with you. You've been a good friend for a lot of years. You've had your fingers in more pies than any people I've ever met in my life here in the North Country.
Yeah.
But this North Country has grown.
Yeah.
Has grown with you.
I hope so. I hope so,
Really?
because I really enjoyed it.
And who knows what the next chapter is going to be or where you're going to go.
And I
but
have a nice family here too, Jane and Skip, and my daughter Colleen
that's
passed away
something
in
we didn't
94.
mention, but I wanted to mention
Yeah,
that. That's good.
my daughter Colleen died in 94,
I remember.
which hurt me very, very much,
Sad,
because
sad.
she would have,
Yeah.
took over this restaurant, and my son Skip is a good boy.
It's great.
And my wife Jane's a great bowler. And she likes bowling.
yeah.
I'm always kidding about bowling. And
And to have you tell me that you poured the concrete for the bowling alley. I
Oh,
never
yes.
knew that, because
Oh,
my
yeah.
wife spent a lot of time there running the bar and the,
Yeah, I know
and the
it.
restaurant
Yeah.
way back when. And
Oh,
George
yeah.
Penjator,
Oh,
who worked
yeah.
there at the time,
Oh, yeah.
who just read his.
yeah, old Louis Galasso owned it. The
Yeah.
guy that owned the quarry. He
Way
couldn't
back
get nobody to build the foundation for it, and I did it for him.
I'll do it.
I'll do it.
Yeah.
Well, I get paid for it very well. So,
You've done lots of things, and who knows what else you might accomplish while we're still on this hunk of mud. Again, Sal, thanks so much. Good luck at everything you do here at
See.
Domenics and wherever.
I had brass rails made for my thing.
Oh, I like those. Yeah,
Yeah.
those are real classy.
Flash stuff.
Real classy stuff. Well, come on and see Sal and tell him you watch the program and tell him you enjoy everything he's done. It doesn't hurt to thank a guy
Yeah.
for his contribution to the North Country. Thanks to Calvin and that camera on his shoulder all day today.
Oh, I guess so.
We'll live to do another one of these shows in maybe 10 or 12 or 50 or 100. And who knows where we're going to be next time for our little corner.